Do you know that you do not need to spend hours writing emails, Instagram captions, and wholesale promos every month? You can actually batch all of your marketing content in under an hour. No more blank docs, no more I'll just post later. Just swipe, tweak, and go. The Product Marketing Bank is your marketing shortcut. A done for you vault of high converting email copy, promo templates, sales strategies, and social media hooks. Custom built for wholesale brands. And yes, you'll even be shown exactly how to repurpose everything for your direct to consumer audience, saving you hours of time and energy. The Marketing Bank helps you show up with strategic seasonal content exactly when your retailers are planning their buys. If you're tired of Googling, what do I even say in this email? It's time to let the Product Marketing Bank do the heavy lifting for you. Join now at productmarketingbank.com. Today, I'm going to share with you 4 countercultural small business sales strategies that are going to help you sell without the ick. We've all felt that because here's the reality. We are selling every day, whether you realize it or not, my friend. And these 4 strategies are going to help you build loyal customers and relationships with your clients that last. And I want you to write these strategies down and begin implementing them into your business practices today. Because I want you to build a business that leaves a lasting legacy on the people that you serve. Let's get started. Hi, friends. Welcome to She Sells Differently, the show for aspiring women entrepreneurs looking to overcome the fear of selling and grow thriving businesses from a place of authenticity and confidence. I'm Andee Hart, and it wasn't all that long ago that I was a sales executive for a Fortune 500 company. But I knew in my heart that I was called to use my gifts for something more, something different. That's exactly why I created the She Sells Differently podcast. Each episode is going to deliver you business strategies, tools, and mindset shifts to help set you and your brand apart from our culture's expectations. It's time to elevate your sales and build a profitable, sustainable business you're proud of, one built on integrity, grace, and humility. It's time to learn how to sell differently. True story, this happened to me about 15 years ago. I had some very dear friends of mine, and they invited me over to their house to have dinner with them one Friday night. Now, they had not been married for very long, and they said, Andee, we know you have been overloaded with a full-time course of grad school classes and you're working full-time. Come over, let's catch up. And we have some big news that we want to share with you. Well, I just knew that they wanted to let me know that they were expecting. And so I cleared my Friday night because I wanted to be there to celebrate with them. And so I show up and I was a bit surprised that there were about 20 other people there because the way that they made it sound, they were having me over for dinner, but no big deal, right? Maybe this was a big party announcement. But I was a bit naive because my stomach dropped when we were all ushered into the living room for an hour-long sales presentation on a new travel venture company that they had just joined. Surprise, their new baby was a small business that they wanted everyone in attendance to sign up for as well. And to add fuel to the fire, they actually went around the room and asked each of us individually if we were going to sign up and join right then and there. What was holding us back? Of course, I mentioned my full schedule of MBA classes, my full-time job, and they continued to push back on me. And needless to say, I skipped dinner and hightailed it out of there. Let's be real. Unfortunately, our friendship really hasn't been the same since because I felt misled. I felt that friends that I thought knew me well really didn't understand me at all. I felt that my needs and my desires and my goals were not really considered, and that they were more concerned with growing their business and simply making a sale rather than really understanding and caring about my own goals and desires. This is where sales really feels icky. It's where sales gets a bad reputation. And I venture to guess that you have had a similar experience in your life, whether it was with friends trying to sell you something, or maybe in your daily routine out shopping, or perhaps you were looking to join a coaching program online and it has probably affected the way that you show up in your small business as well. It's probably also affected your bottom line for your business and the way that you sell. Maybe it's made you feel uncomfortable in the way that you talk about your products or services. And really, as women entrepreneurs, we struggle with talking about our products and our services, and we struggle with being bold and courageous enough to share that with the world. But I firmly believe that when you have a product or a service that serves people well and brings them value, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to others to share about it. So the first strategy is to always have in mind to prioritize the person over the sale. And what this means is to be confident enough to allow the person to walk away from the sale. Now, I know that you always hear to never let a prospect walk away from the sale. But if you have really connected with this customer and you've asked questions and you have learned what is important to them, and if you've made that connection and they're truly interested down the road, they will remember that, and they will remember that you did not put pressure on them, and they will come back. But if it's not a right fit for them, let them walk away. You would rather them leave and be able to come back to you and your business when it is a right fit for them than to sell them something at the wrong time and have a poor customer experience or buyer's remorse. I can't tell you how many times I have talked a customer out of purchasing a course or a product for me, knowing that they were not ready or that they were not confident in their decision. In fact, many times that reverse psychology of talking them out of your product or your service and allowing them to walk away is just what they need to come back to you down the road. And more times than not, they will be a loyal customer for life and recommend you or your business to their friends. So prioritizing the person over the sale. I can't help but wonder how this scenario would have been with my friends that had invited me over for dinner had they actually prioritized my individual goals and what was important to me at that point in my life. Had they shared their excitement over their small business venture, but also said to me, Andee, we realize that you are in the middle of a busy season, and this is probably not right for you right now, but we just wanted to share with you because we're excited and we can't help but being excited about our new venture. And I probably would have been so excited with them and sat and listened and been a part of the evening. And I may have even recommended several different friends that might have been a good fit in that season for their lives. It would have been a completely different scenario, and they may have even gained a couple of extra customers that evening. Instead, they lost a potential customer down the road and a really good referral network. Prioritize the person over the sale. My second strategy is to prioritize the customer experience. And before you say, Andee, I have heard that before, that's common sense, I want to give you a little bit of a twist on this one. We always hear serve before you sell. And I agree wholeheartedly with that, but I want to challenge you to continue serving your customers long after you make a sale. I want you to get scrappy with creating lasting value for your clients long after you have moved on from working with them. Now, this doesn't mean that you give away things for free, but it does mean that you create a loyal customer base that continues to keep those clients coming back for more. It costs a lot less to keep clients than to continue to find new ones. And I recently heard it said that creating continual value for your paying customers keeps them loyal and happy. And I agree. A customer experience doesn't necessarily mean fixing things when they go wrong, and they will. Although that is a part of it, it simply means creating an overall fantastic experience and working with your brand. When someone signs up to work with you or when they buy your product, it's not just leaving that experience when you close the sale. Let me give you a real life example from my own experience. I was in a mastermind with a coach a couple of years ago. And what I found interesting about this business coach is that long after the mastermind was over, I have still stayed in contact with him. He still serves me so well by reaching out through Facebook and sending me interesting articles or tidbits about my business that are very relevant to me as an individual and about my specific industry. And he is always looking for ways to help me and ways to serve me. And it really, truly is a real life example of prioritizing the customer experience and serving his clients long after the mastermind was over and creating a value long after he closed the sale. Prioritizing the customer experience. My third strategy for learning to sell differently is to prioritize the long-term vision. Now, what do I mean by long-term vision? Truly successful salespeople have loyal customers for life, and I have mentioned this earlier, but they don't just focus on the here and now. They aren't afraid to lose small battles because they know that the goodwill that they build from those small battles will help them win their ultimate long-term goals. Let me give you an example from my own business. I own a candle company and I wholesale to hundreds of retailers across North America. I was negotiating with a retailer in another state, and they were interested in carrying my candles on their shelves. And the owner expressed some concern about the pricing being a little bit higher than another competitor. But I knew to get my candles on her store shelves, I needed to offer a bit of a concession, but I didn't want to lower my overall pricing. So I offered her free shipping on her first order and an additional case of candles at zero charge. The boutique owner felt seen, she felt heard, and she felt like she had won something. So negotiating something in her favor. So I built goodwill and trust, and she ended up placing an order, and it has led to a wonderful long-term retail partnership. It's just a simple example of prioritizing the long-term vision. And I was able to be flexible and lose a small battle, but build the goodwill and ultimately attain my long-term goal of winning that retail partnership. I was prioritizing my long-term vision. And last, and this is certainly not least, but maybe the most important, is prioritizing community over competition. This might be the hardest for us as humans, us as business owners, but it's my favorite because how often do we see each other completely talking down about our competition? But what would it look like if we actually built up and celebrated our competition? What would it look like if we actually collaborated together and we actually championed each other? And we remembered that there is room for everyone. Don't let someone else scare you off. Get creative and get scrappy because God created you perfectly gifted with unique qualities that only you possess. And if a customer mentions a competitor, celebrate, cheer them on. Build them up instead of tearing them down, because I promise you will look much better in the long run. And it is so very countercultural to do this. But if you are focused on building them up instead of tearing them down, you will only make your own brand look better. Now, this isn't to say that you can't highlight your own product or your own services' unique qualities. Absolutely. But you need to get creative and think, how can I lean on my unique talents and my unique gifts to stand out in the marketplace? If I had $1 every time I have heard about a saturated market, especially being in the candle industry, I laugh every time I hear this statement. It can be the most saturated marketplace, but you can still create a space in the marketplace. Whatever industry you're in, you can still get creative, find your niche, and have a wildly profitable and thriving business. So there you have it, my 4 countercultural small business sales strategies: prioritizing the person over the sale, prioritizing the customer experience, the long-term vision, and then prioritizing community over competition. I hope and pray that you start implementing at least one of these practices into your everyday business life in the near future, and I would love to hear about it. There is a link in the show notes that you can send me fan mail and let me know. I would love to share about it on the next podcast episode. So feel free to click that link and share. And that is a wrap on today's episode. I will have a brand new episode of the She Sells Differently podcast for you next Wednesday. Until then, I'm cheering you on. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of She Sells Differently. Friends, it would be a huge blessing to me if you would take 2 seconds to rate and subscribe to my podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Until then, I'm cheering you on in your entrepreneurial journey. See you next time.